This livestream series is sponsored by Slice Engineering and the Mosquito Magnum Plus Hot End. Push absurd amounts of filament while maintaining the structural integrity of the Mosquito design. The Mosquito Magnum Plus can be configured with up to 100 watts of heating power, redundant 500 degrees Celsius rated thermistors, and air or water cooling. I'll be using the Magnum Plus for this build, and you can find the links in the description below. Also, Do It 3D, the Voron printed forward team, and Lineo were kind enough to provide some of their high quality parts for this build free of charge. I've purchased the rest of the parts on the regular, like the FormBot kit, upgrades from Thermo labs, and little bits here and there. You can find links for everything in the description below. Now, let's get started with the build. Shit! That's my that's one of the screens that I'm using for why are you not focusing in even? Did I break autofocus too? I just dropped my camera, the tripod fell over, and yeah, oh there we go. That screen just got smashed. Totally smash-a-ronied. Gone. Welcome everyone to another Voron 2.4 build stream. I've got like half of the Streamlabs events thing still visible, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. I have a second screen for chat. Well. What is the plan today? The plan today is to get the wiring done and to start with the firmware configuration. Just gonna move this thing out of the way. What happened since you guys were last watching? Well, let me grab this camera so that I can actually reach it and show you what's up. So I have, well, mechanically I've plugged in everything on the printer in between when we last streamed yesterday and today. So unfortunately I found out that all these connectors here that have redundant connectors for thermistors and heaters, well, because this thing can have two, the Mosquito Magnum Plus can have two heaters and two thermistors. That's just not gonna fit.
The new monitor fund.
Hold on. Okay, that was the dehumidifier going up and the call coming in. Right, so that is not going to fit. There's too many connectors and stuff under here, so that there's like, you know, a need for an extra centimeter or so. So I think I'll need to redesign this cable cover part to actually fit over those two to bump out a bit further. If you look over here, there is some space. There is some space over on this side for this thing to extend out. So yeah, there is some space for large shroud. Thanks for the 20 for the new monitor fund, Chris R. Yeah, these are, so thankfully those two screens, those are 32-inch 720p or 768p TVs, and those are ridiculously cheap, as you know, which is why I'm using them to them. Thank you for that. That pays like probably a good 20% of what one of those costs. And thank you for the 5 Furiko. How much to make this a drunk Voron build stream? I don't drink. So nothing. That's literally impossible to make happen. Okay. Another one from Stas Rife, the new monitor fund. Okay, we're getting there. That we're gonna have a new screen. I should just order one right now. Yeah, so I plugged everything in at the tool head. That is all connected, so electrically this should be good. I also did a tiny bit of wire management on the back here for the motors. Yep. This might need a little bit, so this is the back of the printer. This might just need a shroud to hide this, because otherwise there's no place to put this connector. I've taped up the underside of this profile so that the cable going all the way over to this side, where all the cableage comes up from the Z-axis drag chain, so that this is kind of all neat and wrapped up, and I guess there just needs to be a little shroud at the front here that again covers that up. So yeah, that should be good. What else? Nothing more on the front, so let's jump to that perspective is okay for now. Let's jump to the bottom. And actually there's nothing really that I changed, but I did plug in all of the all of the connectors for the Do It 3. So that is the motor connectors. I think those weren't plugged in. Then also thermistors, fans. These get, come on. The fans get different connectors than the heaters. So that right there, that's a heater. That also has a bit thicker wire. So yeah, that's that should be ready to plug in. Now for the probe, for the inductive probe, I did something that I think should work. Where are we? So that's that, and then there should be another 5-pin connector. Yeah. So these are the pins from the probe. The one with the single pin had its label sliding off. So this is the output signal that goes directly to an I/O on the Do It, and then this is just power that gets plugged into a fan header on the Do It. So the way that the Do It is set up is you have, if I remember correctly, these are the 4 fan headers that have power, ground, a switched output, and a tachometer feedback pin. So that's that. And then over here, these 7, I think. No, it's more. But, oh, we already zoomed in. These are the universal I/Os that have 5 volt and 3 volt and an input and an output and ground. So this is where the probe output is going to go, because the probe output, so just this one pin, is going to go over here into actually any of these, because these are completely configurable. And that's just going to read the input. So of course the probe could get, any sort of, well, if you connect it to 24 volts, that's going to get pulled up to 24 volt because the probe has an internal pull-up resistor. So we're going to see 24 volts on that pin. However, the Do It input pins are all 30 volts capable or tolerant, or whatever it's called. So that's just the output, and then the probe's going to get power from over here where the fans typically would be connected. Yeah, so that is all connected up. We're going to do that in a minute. I think we do need to do the high voltage side, which is going to be, it's going to be up here. So that's going to be the input, and I think that is a good place to start today. That's going to get the IEC socket, and we're going to do some crimping of the AC side of things. The question is, I need to mechanically zoom out. The question is, how does grounding work on this frame? Because it's that camera. Because of the way that this is set up, there is no double insulation. Yeah, there is no double insulation accounted for. So we do have potentially, I think, this frame would need to get grounded. Though I think that might be internally grounded. We also need to make sure that any metal parts that are exposed in here are grounded, because the AC wiring, again, that we're going to feed through here, it's not going to be double insulated. So potentially, if just one layer of insulation gets rubbed through or fails somehow, this frame might be live. Also, for European or for German wiring in particular, with the Schuko-Stecker, this is labeled, so the power supply inputs are labeled protective earth, neutral, and live. Here in Germany, neutral and live can be swapped. So first of all, power outlets don't have a dedicated neutral or live side, so either of the two, do you have an outlet here? Yeah. So either, so this is our typical outlet here. That's a Schuko outlet. This exposed bit right here is protective earth. And then either of these center hole sockets could be neutral or live. And you can see, you can like physically plug the power cords. You can physically plug a power cord in either way. So it goes in, both fits in like that. both fits in like that or like this, and either way is fine. So yeah, that physically switches neutral and live. So now we have one side neutral live. Now we have the other side neutral live. So that is something that we can't. Is that even IKEA? Oh yeah, that is IKEA Koppler. Ha. So we can't take that polarity for granted that we get out of the IEC socket. So theoretically, I believe, yeah, the fused side on this one, the fused side, that is what should be the live side, and then the other side should be neutral theoretically. That's ground or protective earth. We can't take that for granted. So we should not, assume live or neutral on this, on in any case. So both of them need to be treated as if they could be live at any time. Not that I would trust it in an installation like in the UK or in the US where you have plugs that you physically can't reverse. But here it's like, yeah, you should never assume that one of these is live or neutral. Both are just hot by default, assumed hot by default. Okay, so let's start with the printed part for that, if I can find it. I had it here a second ago. There they are. So this is the one that we had the last time. This is the one that's included with the printed forward kit. And that's the separate socket. And this is the one that I printed off. I think I can just snap this in. It's not going to get in the way. No. There you go. That is in. That's a bit past flush. And then that just sits up here. Actually, there probably is an orientation or a position for this. So that's the other side. That's the panel, which we're not going to be using. So that should be centered, I would assume. Though when or if I add the panels, that's going to need to get adjusted anyway. So I'm just going to put this roughly into the center position here. Also, I guess the problem would be as long as you don't have all the skirts installed all around the printer and don't have the bottom plate installed, you could just reach around and kind of, reach into potentially live contact. So that is definitely a bit of a problem. So you would definitely want to have the plates installed. And technically, I think you would, the skirting, hold on. So the skirting that is designed for this might even be holes that are too big to provide proper or ample protection against contacting 230 volts. I think technically if this were a device that would need to adhere to CE, those holes would need to be smaller. Yeah. Neutral is also tied to ground at one specific spot for every house. That is correct. Yeah. So neutral and protective earth.
Happy birthday.
Should be tied to the. But it's not. I don't think it's actually in the house though. I'm not an electrician. Those are some of the things that I do not know. But they're definitely at the same potential. It's just that I don't know if they are like tied together in the house. Okay. Here we go. Okay, there goes the stream. Thank you for the happy birthday, Mr. Maker. Thanks for the 20, Andrew Rogers, for the birthday present, I guess, in that case. Yes. I did turn 30 today. I'm starting to get old. A lot of people on Twitter were like, "Hey, you only 30? What? Thought you were older." Which I don't know if I'm supposed to take that as a compliment or not, but yeah, thank you for that. Oh well. Thank you, Colleen. From the entire 3D Meetup Sweden is here as well. Cool, thank you, Jonathan. Surprised you're 30, seems very well I am also surprised your 30 seems very well put together. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but yeah, Domenico, I used to be 26, yeah, at some point. I used to be young. Oh no. Oh yeah. Maybe. There. Hi. Happy birthday from John Bo. Naibathas. Who else? P3D Prince, Andrew Rogers. Thank you all. Oh wow, this chat is gonna be gone. Yeah, already. Just friends and family just sending me WhatsApp and Signal messages. I was like, guys, come on. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to respond to you all. But thank you, guys. Don't have some. I did get some cake today. So that was a nice treat. Very nice lime cheesecake. With one candle. I mean, that's got to be enough, right? At some point, you just stop counting. Black Dragon just turned 51 a couple weeks ago. Well, you're only as old as you feel, right? So that's in there properly. Mature and well established for your age. Well, you're seeing my on-camera persona, so like, yeah. I'm only letting you get the impression that I want you to be getting. So, only thing missing is the, I should probably get a proper one, but whatever. For gigabits or how fast does the Do It go? I think even if it's just 10 Mbit, it should be fine. These just snap in like this, theoretically. Oh, if it actually does snap in. There's the Ethernet port all connected. Cool. Thank you, Bill Bones, Jakob. To the you haven't seen this Oktoberfest persona. Like I said, I don't drink, and Oktoberfest is like the tourist trap of Munich. So yeah, I don't know a lot of locals who actually enjoy Oktoberfest. It's something that you kind of have to do if you're like I guess a Munich-based company, but that's about it. So that's 230. So let me just rotate this around so maybe we get a bit of a nice view on the B camera. So there's that. RJ was asking about the black wire harness. So I do have 2 wire harnesses for this build. I bought the one from Thermo Labs, which is like 50% there. It's got all the wires at the correct length, and it's got a bunch of the Molex microfit connectors on there. But it's wired up for SKR on the other end, so I would have needed to recrimp all of those. And then the red one is the one from Lineo that they sent me, and that they did custom make for the Do It. So that's going to be that was just an easier plug-in for me. Okay, so we have that. Now let me think about what we need to do for wiring here.
Happy birthday, Tom. Party face.
Thank you, Tom, for the birthday gift. Much appreciated. Does the that emoji that emoji did get read off. So interesting, Streamlabs. Part-time Ronin asking about which wattage power supply we're using. So that is a 200 watt Meanwell LRS that was included. I did do just a bit of napkin math before we started about how much power we would actually need. And 200 watts actually seemed high to me, but the thing is with the Mosquito Magnum Plus that does have dual heater cartridges and all the stepper motors and potentially these drivers which can push like a lot of power, though these can melt an EMA 17, so maybe not push them all the way. And another expansion board, I think 200 watt is just appropriate. So that is just about good. Okay. So for wiring of all the high voltage stuff, I think I'm actually just going to give this included Kaltgerätekabel, dreipolig, this IC cable, I'm just going to give that a quick snip, and I'm going to try to keep it on the double insulated track as much as possible. So I'm going to, I'm going to keep this thicker wire wherever I can, and then just connect up to, just strip away a bit from the front here. You go away, strip away like, I don't know, that much. And then use the inner insulated cores and just crimp onto that. So at least between my cable runs, I have the dual insulated cable. Though I don't think that's actually going to be much use. And for now, also, I'm not going to connect up the switch. So this panel does have, where are we? There we are. We do have the IC inlet up here. If you get, this is hard to show. IC inlet up here. Then we have the switch, the fuse in the center, and then we have the switch at the bottom. The switch has two inputs for the little glow lights, the red glow light, and then for the switch itself. I'm gonna skip all that because that would mean I'd have to like route an extra little cable that is just gonna be single insulated. I'm just gonna connect up to protective earth, and then the two potentially hot sides. So that's gonna make it a bit easier. It's not gonna give me the option of having a switch in the back, but like how often am I gonna switch this off? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be a big problem. And if I need to, I can always add that later. What wire stripper is this? This is a Stanley wire stripper. If you search for Stanley wire stripper, this is what you find. And the way it works, it clamps onto the wires and then it pulls them apart. So if you have, this is actually, I was ragging on the Knipex wire stripper last time. This is the one that I much prefer. Actually, I could just rotate the camera. This is the one that I much prefer these days. So do that. So the wire is clamped in there, and these two sides grab down onto the cable, and then it just physically pulls apart the insulation, and there is your stripped wire bit. That works extremely well. You should always have a switch as a mains cutoff well. I can just yank the plug. That's good enough for me for now. So let's get that twisted up, and this is going to get some crimp connectors in a second. So they do actually include a full set of crimp connectors in the kit.
Happy birthday, Tom. Thanks for everything you did for the community and also for me personally over the years.
Thank you, Stefan. That is appreciated, Stefan. Thanks for the 50 there. Thanks for the birthday gift. It's, I always feel like I do talk about this on the podcast with Stefan as well. Like, hey, Stefan's actually making the better content these days. The content that more people watch, but then he's always like, well, but you taught me stuff as well. And I'm like, well, I'm just, I don't know. But anyways, much appreciated. Thank you for that. So how does this work? This is not a double... Where are we at? This is not one of those double sleeve kind of solutions where you have your insulated end. So you can get these in open, yeah? Just the open type of plug. Oh, and then you shove this over it. Okay. Damn tripod. You have the open plug that kind of slides onto our IEC connector, and then you have the extra silicone or TPU sleeve that just slides over that from the back. So yeah, I think you can also get like double sleeves with these, but then again, these are also going to go into a screw block. Thanks for the 10, John. Birthday gift. I got a nice cake today. That's more than enough. All right, so this side gets these. Now, how do I crimp these? How do I actually crimp these? I thought this would be insulated blocks, which I do have the crimping tool for. And I think that is... No, that's the large ones. That's the wrong style. It does grab on, but it is the wrong size. I thought I would just use these. Oh. Yes, that is the correct size. So this is the ones that I thought I was going to use. So that's one that is kind of like this spade connector, but has the little spring-loaded tab that you can push onto that IEC socket. With these you just have a crimping tool like this. You just jam that in there, you crank it down, and that's crimped. With these, you actually have to use a crimping tool that folds those pins correctly and kind of folds it around the wire. You can see that's kind of like a little JST or DuPont or whatever connector. And I don't think I have the proper crimping tool for that. If I use... I guess I could use this. Yeah, that should work. So that is the one that was sold to me as being suitable for crimping, like the so-called DuPont connectors. And it looks like the largest size on that would fit. That would fit on here. Okay, let's give this a try. But silicone insulation first. Ah, come on. Yeah, I do prefer soldering in any case, but sometimes you just gotta crimp stuff. Who was saying we make a good team? Black Dragon, yeah, you guys make a good team. Yeah, podcast is cool, but we're also competing on YouTube. Though, I mean, the way I see it, there's enough audience for everyone, right? And the only real enemy is the YouTube algorithm that decides not to show you stuff. So, just because Stefan makes better content, or I sometimes make content that gets more views, that doesn't mean that the other one is getting less views. So, at least I think that's how it works. It's how I like to think how it works. Let's put it like that. So that unfortunately is impossible to see, but hopefully stripped it a bit too long. Maybe. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. That does look pretty good. There we go. Maybe a bit too long on the stripped end, but I would say that's a decent crimp. But I never know with these which tension or which tightness on the crimper is tight enough. It's always like, hey, yeah, sure, the tool closed all the way, but is it actually pressing against the wires properly, or is it just holding against the insulation in the back? So the pull test, I mean, this one's in there. This one's in there pretty well. But again, if it's just grabbing onto the insulation, then that might pass as well in a few cases. Okay, so it looks like I've finally found the use for this crimp tool, because if you use this to crimp stuff like microfits or DuPont, sort of the standard, like, what are they called, pin header style connector or jumper wire connector, then this would just, even on the smallest crimp position, it would just absolutely smash it. There was no way that you would get a good crimp out of that. So for these, yeah, that seems to work just about perfectly. Nice. Okay, so that's on. Now, basically we need to go from here. So let's assume this is not clipped in all that well. I need to add some hot glue there. It does clip in, but it does push out really easily. Mars Gizmo is here. Hi, Mars Gizmo. So that goes here. Okay, that is a proper tight fit. I like that. That goes here onto the fuse output. You might need to check whether that's actually a fuse or just a... Oh, you know what I could do? I could... So to make this double insulated, I could put some extra shrink wrap around these, just all the way around the connectors and stuff. And then add a big piece of shrink wrap back here. Now, again, that's not good. That is just like extra insurance. You probably don't need to do... Why are you not going on? You probably don't need to do that, and it's going to be fine. But to... What is wrong with you? But just to make sure that everything is good, everything is double insulated, that would be a good move. Why can it not plug you in? Is that a different size? No, it's going on. It's just super tight. Okay, but at least that's clicked in. I do prefer a connector that is too tight versus one that is too loose. Now the thing with these sockets, of course, is this bit back here. That's going to be live. That is going to be just live exposed 230 volt metal. Which I do not like a single bit. And even working on this machine, that is a bit too risky for me. So I'm at least going to put some electrical tape over it, which I do not have here. I'm going to grab some electrical tape. Give me 1 second. Captain tape. I don't think Captain tape is ready for 1000 volts. I'll be right back. Ha! No, I didn't leave my mic on. Also, because I'm not carrying a mic. The only mic that you're hearing is this guy over my head here. So that's what is this, an MKE 600? Yeah, that's why the audio is kind of off when I'm like in the background here. So it does sound glorious when I'm right in front of it, but yeah, also it makes it a lot more comfortable for me to not wear a microphone. I don't have anything taped down here as the guys at LTT do. It does make it a lot more comfortable, a lot more. I can move around a lot more, and it means that stuff like swallowing or doing stuff with my hands in front of my chest doesn't get picked up as loudly as it is with the lavalier microphone, because that can get really annoying if I'm doing this and kind of moving stuff or like crinkling a bag or something, that gets picked up right there. That is super loud. So that overhead microphone, shotgun microphone, loving it. Especially because I'm mostly going to be in this spot anyway. So I'm going to try and cover this up as best as I can. I'm not going to worry about the single insulation here. I'm just going to do everything that's exposed in the back.
Happy birthday, Tom, smiley face, and thanks a lot for showing the progress on Voron.
Thank you for the 20 Mars, Gizmo. Glad you're enjoying the build process. It's, doing these live streams is always something that I never know if people are going to like or not. Typically, it's okay. Like a bunch of people do watch, but yeah, for me, it would feel weird to have like the same. Well, for me, it does feel weird to have the same kind of build stream going on for, I guess it's been over a week now. And yeah, apparently it is of value for a lot of you, or otherwise you wouldn't be watching, right? Thank you for the happy birthday, Apurv. Oh god. Here I go again, butchering names. But thank you. Can you share your Do It 3D mounts? Yes, I will upload those once I get a chance. Somebody asked that when the last the stream yesterday ended, whether I'm going to share those, and yes, I will upload those. But they're pretty simple. Okay, so that should be not great. I mean, this isn't like fantastic or anything, but at least we're not going to have any directly exposed 230 volts anymore. There is still going to be like literally exposed 230 volts on the power supply, so that's not fantastic. But at least this side with the large metal block or large metal pad is covered up, and this connector is not connected to anything, so that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing? Hold on. There you go. And possibly with the right side up. Oh yeah, now it is properly tight. Okay. So at least that's not popping out anymore. Yeah, that is looking very ghetto. I guess a proper solution would be to have like a shroud around this and then have a just a single outlet for something that's double insulated. But then again, when you're adding a power supply right next to it that has uninsulated terminal blocks right there, that is not the... I'm just realizing I'm moving the z-axis as I slide this printer around. Yeah, that's not a great look. So we still have the SSI that we're going to need to hook up. I've been saying he likes the filtered inlet more because there are no exposed mains. So does the filtered inlet? Yeah, I guess it just has the connector blocks in the back, but none of the open strips. So I guess we can do that. And kind of get it over here. The SSR is still something we're gonna have to tie. We're gonna have to tie into. So this is getting live. I guess we can tap into the power supply here, live here, then the bed there, and then neutral directly from the bed. And those are also not double insulated cables. So I guess I should have. Yeah, we can do that right here. Be careful if the SSR is normally open or normally closed. Okay. I'm going to treat it as normally open. I'm going to assume it is normally open, though. It doesn't actually say anything. It says it's got CE. Which is a great start. Somebody asked, like, how comfortable am I talking about 3D printing in German? And yeah, that is a good point, because I'm absolutely zero comfortable talking about 3D printers in German. Simply because a lot of the lingo for what parts are, it doesn't exist in German, or I don't know the German equivalents of. So, like, what is a hot end? A Heizdüse, or yeah, what's an extruder? Is it just an extruder as well? There's just so many terms that, you know, I have no idea what the correct German translation would be, and whether they should be translated to German in the first place. Oh, by the way, question. Maybe one of you guys knows that. Oh, that's loose. Wow. So I have this this crimping plier, and it has a. Oh, that's gonna be wonderful to show. Maybe I can show you the connectors. So it has the one side over here that has like the double crimp, and then just a flat side over here. One of the sides leaves the mark on the connector. Unfortunately, I can't show you that, but there's like a little marking dot. Which side does that go to? Does that go towards the connector side or towards the cable? So that the side that is marked and only has like the rough crimp versus the double tighter crimp side. I would say the tighter side goes towards the electrical connection, but as you just saw, that did not connect very well. So the dot goes towards the side you put the wire into. Okay, so that should have been correct. So if I crimp it like this, with the dot towards the side the wire goes into, yeah, that side has a dot on it. So that should have been correct, but that did not crimp down properly. Red should be 0.5 to 1.5. And I don't have any other ones, so we're gonna have to. Nope, I do have some more of. Nope, those are ring punches. We're gonna have to make do with these somehow. Mark goes to the cable. Okay. What wires are left to finish? The high voltage side, and then plugging everything in, configuring everything, making notes for how stuff is connected to do it, and then we can move on to the firmware. You need to be in there straight, actually. And is that better? Nope, that is still loose. That is still loose. That is still not a good crimp. Try the blue one. You guys can hear that, right? That crimp is loose. Saying the other way, so with the dot facing the connector. Nope, that is still loose. So I can still pull this off. So that means that was not a good crimp. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We don't actually need a... We don't need a crimp for that, actually. Because these blocks on the power supply, these can be used with or without a spade connector on them. I'm just going to strip a bit more of the insulation. And then we should be able to use it without it. And I trust using these without an extra point of failure a lot more. I do trust just clamping these down directly a lot more than having a bad crimp connector in there. So let's do this. I mean, even though the wiring colors are completely irrelevant, except for the protective earth, I'm still going to try to match them up. Ooh. And by the way, those are connections that I guess should be torqued down. So let me use my torque limited driver for this. Oh yeah, you can see that was actually torqued down a bit more than the clutch was set to, so we can kind of learn the torque from how they were tightened down. Oh, you've got crimp. Oh, you're right. Yeah, in my denuding tool, this actually has crimping. That's like a crimp. That's a crimping tool in there, huh? But I'm not.
Birthday.
Thank you for that, RJ Riemann Snyder. Should we try that? Should we try that? Non-insulation. Do we have? I do have ferros, but I don't know if don't know what I would crimp those with. Until the handle bottoms out. Let's actually, yeah, I do want to give this a try because these are actually goodbye. Those are garbage. So we do still have a bit of wire length left. Don't do it. Do it. Don't do it. Try it and it works better. Okay. Boring. Well, Kuvik, yeah, just watch a different stream then. Goodbye. Alright, I just don't want to. I don't want to risk it with these crimp connectors. Any point of failure that we can avoid, I guess we should avoid. So, of course, the thing is, you need to watch out for little loose wire bits sticking over into the other connectors. So ferro would be nice, but this has like large plastic lips between it that are in there exactly for that purpose. And also for what's it called? Creep. So that's in there well enough. Yeah, and that I trust a lot more than the crimped connectors. There's a tensioner on the other tool, yeah. Oh, a tensioner on... Yeah, but the thing is, okay, I see what you mean. So who... There's a tension on this. So I guess this right here is a tension adjust mechanism, but when I can see the jaws, already bottoming out, like there's no point in adjusting the tension of that because that's all the tension I'm gonna get. I'd have to grind down those jaws. Also, those look, compared to how tight or how closed so hold on. That right here, that's the bit where the Stanley has its crimping jaw, and then that up here is, if I try and put these right next to each other, that's okay. Anyways, these are a lot more open than the Stanley.
Keep cranking out this awesome content And here's a small contribution towards the Get Thomas a Tool Changer Jubilee Fund. Have a great year ahead.
Thank you, hey Thumb. Hi Thumb. I'm butchering names left and right, I know. Get Thomas a Tool Changer Jubilee. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Use ferals. This is not super nice, but it's okay. But yeah, thank you for that birthday present or tip, hey Thumb. Blue and brown switch cable. Why? No. So wiring colors are actually different across the country. So blue, I might be an idiot, but blue to me has always been neutral and brown has always been live, at least here in Germany. Hey, how is your name pronounced? I do try to get that right. But yeah, and also even if this is wrong, oh, I do have another zoom stage here. Okay, even if that is wrong and these two are swapped, like it doesn't matter because like I just showed, you can plug these Shuko connectors in either way. You can literally flip these around, and the neutral and live are swapped. Geralt Ducks, thank you for the 5. Yes, I know the I've seen your notes, but I've explicitly pointed out that I'm not using the switch, that I'm not gonna have it in there. Right now the printer is always gonna be powered on. That's fine. That is fine with me for now. This is just to get this working. That is the most important bit right now. Hey then, okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know.
Maybe that makes it visible. You currently are not using the switch. The printer will be always powered on if you plug it to mains.
So we're gonna have the bed wiring coming down to neutral, and then live is gonna go over here to this guy. I'll just strip out. Yeah, I'll just completely expose the core. So double insulation there that goes out of the window. The switch is most likely junk anyways, possibly. So there is just the core conductors. Do we need these? We might need the protective earth actually, if we try to ground the frame, but the neutral I don't think we're gonna need. Use Vago connectors where I can just clamp everything to the blocks in the power supply. Please ground the bed. Great suggestion.
Happy birthday, please enjoy lots of tea and cupcakes, young man.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for the tip, John. Thanks for the 100. Please enjoy lots of cupcakes. I've already had some, like I said, I've already had some great cake. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Lime cheesecake. That was fantastic. No, not the power supply. Don't start. That was some great cake I was having today. But that is my cake allowance for the next couple of weeks. Basically taken care of. I do like some good cake, but just not every day. But yeah, thank you for the tip. Don't rush the build, not the power supply. The thing is with 230 volts, the amperage we're drawing out of these is like it's not a lot. It is not a lot of current that we are actually drawing out of. This doesn't matter because it's AC. We're not drawing a lot of power out of this, so you know, at most it's like going to be 3-ish amps. Oh yeah, but this one could use a ferrule or something at least. There's some cake delivery. I'm good on cake, thanks. Yeah, because this one has these weird, like, roundish blocks. So I think for these, we will need to try and get at least some sort of ferrule on, because if you just, I guess with the with this metal shroud over it. Yes, Hannes W. I know the word, I just can't pronounce it. It does have the metal shrouds over it, and I think that would clamp it, but I don't trust that. This might slip off. I could bend a little loop. That could work, but let's just try the ferrule, because we're also going to need to put a or the ferrule, whatever these are called, connector. We are also going to need to connect the bed wiring to this, and that's a completely different cable. So theoretically, this goes in here. This goes in here, and then this just squeezes shut. Oh yeah, that has no click or anything, so I can smash this completely. That's nice. That is not a satisfying crimping experience, but at least the connector is done. Nope, that's the cutter part. I don't want to do that. Not the prettiest crimp, but it should be functional, so I'll take that. Thank you for the tip, Shadow Walker. What is that currency? It's nice because YouTube always shows the currency with that. Twitch only has bits and stuff, but I get to learn about all the different ways, the different worlds, means of paying stuff. Thank you for that, Shadow Walker. Okay, so that's good. That's good. And the other one we're going to do when we attach or when we connect the bed. And this has, yeah, this goes on only one way. Nope, the other way was correct. This goes on like this, and there's like this. It's still open. You can still reach your fingers in there. Indian rupees. Oh. Nice. It's likely a 600 watt heater. No, it was a lot less than that, I think. Unfortunately, I did scrape off the labeling, but I think it was 300 or something. If you guys go back to one of the earlier live streams, then yeah, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see that labeling. So that's the high voltage. We shall need something. We do need ground on the frame. So the problem with this frame is now everything is black, and I'm not sure if this is anodized or painted. It might be anodized. Yeah, I think that's anodized. We're gonna have to get through that anodization layer with whatever we attach to it. So, I guess we have the best chance of getting through that with a hammer nut. Because that hammer nut it has the serrations on the back. Can't you get to the cut side? No, the cut side is covered as well. Or I could just, you know what I could do? I could just tap through it. I could just, but the thing as well is if I just tap through if I just tap through the frame, I don't know if that is actually, if the connections are conductive in the ends. That's a tough one. So hold on, which side is the back? This side is the back. I think I'm just going to run the tap drill through it. Or what we can also do is we can actually use this connection right there. This connection right there, that is an M4. But we can't undo that without. But I could use this. So the thought was, okay, use this connection because this should be connected to the bed rails, and the bed rails should be connected to everything. But then again, we have more connector blocks. But that gives us the best chance of getting the bed grounded. So let's try this. Let's try that. Use a multimeter. That's actually a good idea to check first. So multimeter, and I do have the pointy Chinese tips on that. These tips are fantastic. Also, silicone leads, silicone wires. I love these. These were like $8 or something on top of the base multimeter. Fantastic. Hannes is saying VDE says screws and threads are not a valid grounding scheme. Yeah, that's a well, you're gonna have screws somewhere, but yeah. Thank you for the happy birthday, Simone. Always great to see you around here. So let's put this on beepy boy mode. And if we go from this screw right here to
Herzlichen Glückwunsch. As you are already butchering names, try mine. We most of the time hear your English voice could say something in German PLS.
There goes Streamlabs. So, okay, so this screw goes to the bed rails. So that's the front connector block from the bed rails. Other side as well, so those are grounded. What's my resistance here? Roughly 0.17 versus a short, which is 0.12. So 50 milliohms, that's good. Yeah, that would trigger the RCD for sure. And it would also trigger the fuse if any of this got shorted to ground. So that at least has the bed grounded. Depending on how well I push this into the... So now we're at 35 ohms. But at least it is somewhat grounded. It is grounded well enough for triggering the RCD if any of this stuff should be live somehow. I might also want to retighten the frame joints just to make sure it's actually scraping against the frame and against all that. Jörn is asking, why not just use the ground from the power supply? Well, the thing is with the ground from the power supply, this power supply is not, like, it's not electrically conductive in the way that it's connected to the frame. And also ground on the power supply, yeah, that's where I'm going to be grabbing ground, but it needs to go to the frame somehow. That is the problem. So, yeah. Actually, if I flip this upside down, we shouldn't lose the T-nut in here. Or if I use a spade connector, we can slide it on there. That's going to work as well. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing with these frames. You at least want everything grounded that is like in the vicinity of any sort of AC higher voltage. So that would be... Actually, what if you have if this power supply has a short to live? That wouldn't get triggered unless negative is also connected to ground, then that would... that would trigger the RCD. So I guess we should do that as well. But I'm never sure about that. I'm never sure about whether the output negative side should get tied to protective earth as well. I'm guessing it should. Just leave a little loop so that it's never going to get pulled on. Spade connector, let's use one of the included ones. Three Mumsy is asking, hey, are we going to print today? Probably not. Probably not, because we still have firmware config and everything to do. And getting that set up and tuned in, that might be a whole nother stream. Nope, I can feel it moving in there. Yeah, these connectors are the worst. Okay, that's better. Okay. I would rather have uninsulated ones and then put some insulation over them. So let's go here. Oh, you guys liking my arm? Hello? Oh, you need to go to reverse. You go here, you go there, you go all the way in. And then this just slides, I guess, from the side or from the top. Yeah, from the top would be the best here. And that is a 3 mil. There it is. A 3 mil right there. That's going to be a tricky one to get tightened up again, but yeah. Okay. Nope. That's exactly what's happening with hammer nuts. They twist in the wrong way and then they're loose. That's how we want it. Okay. Just make sure this one is like super tight because we do want this biting into the aluminum as best as we can. There we go. So theoretically, if we go from, where's my multimeter?
Happy birthday, Tom. Very thankful to call you friend. Please use this to get a milkshake. Smiley face.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you for the tip, and thank you for considering me a friend. I love this 3D printing community because it's like there's no hard feel. Well, for the most part, unless you're on Facebook, there's no hard feelings. Everyone's just getting along. I mean, with Murph Midwest Repro Festival, that really encompasses that, I think, in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, like I've already said, I, as well as a lot of other folks, won't be attending this year. But it's always like, well, everyone's just getting along. It's like nothing else matters for those 3 days that that Murph exists or Murph is happening. Yeah, it's great to have to be part of a community that is so welcoming and so you guys know what I'm trying to say. Like it's not a community where a lot of people have any or have hard feelings against others. So, yeah, well, there are some people that have blocked on Twitter, but that's a different story. The people that have not blocked are great. But yeah, thank you, Joel. Great to have you here. I'll make sure to get a proper milkshake from that, not just a McDonald's milkshake. Is that the machines that are always broken? I'll make sure to get something proper in due time. Thanks. Right. So this is grounded. Just did some measuring. I think 1 ohm on like the black oxide coated screws. So that is properly connected to ground protective earth, to be accurate. And then this terminal is getting the wiring from the bed, and then that's getting the other wire from the bed. So I think we need to install the bed at this point. So yes, no, yes. So bed rails that we did adjust. Ooh, those are like so black on black, but trust me, there are two rails in here. This is where the bed gets mounted. We've adjusted these. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention that I did do is that I did install the Thermo fuse. I do still need to shrink the shrink wrap on these, but I did use. Oh yeah, I did use the crimp connectors as well, but I double threaded them, so this side of the wire is going all the way through to the other side. I don't think that's the way you're supposed to use them, but that's what I found works in like critical applications. Now, I did not want to solder these because like heat and all. I did want to have like a mechanically clamped connection, so that's that. I'm gonna have these shrunk. So I need a shrinking tool that I have next door. Give me 1 second. Bye, Paul. There's my shrink wrap tool, or heat shrink tool to be accurate. This thing is actually pretty great. It's a hot air reflow station, and it's also the perfect tool to do heat shrink, because you can control the temperature so accurately. There's the power. Just use a lighter? Nah, don't use a lighter. Use proper tool. Look at how well this is going to shrink up. Ooh. Ah. And no bubbles, no burn marks or anything, because if you overheat shrink wrap, it's actually going to start expanding again. But if you set your temperature to the correct setting, then there is 0 chance of that bubbling up and opening up again. So there we go. Those are perfectly shrunk up. That is cold. So the thermal fuse is actually 125. And the way I've wired it is one of the leads going into the heated bed. This one is just going through the thermal fuse. The other one is going, well, back to the power supply. Really, which way we wire these up downstairs in the compartment doesn't matter. But yeah, it just needs to be in line with the bed so that that can open up. By the way, is this a resettable fuse? Is this one that resets, or is that like you go past 125 once and it's gone? There's no type on that. It just says AR and then 250 volt, 15 amps, 125C. 125 does seem low. Like 125 does seem like a very low temperature rating on the bed that you would be printing at 140 possibly. Okay, single use, single use, single use. Okay, the resettable fuses, I mean, are a bit garbage. The yellow polymer fuses, I don't know if they make them for 240 volt, but yeah, they're not great. Because they were popular with the ramps, of course, but the way that they behave when they're just getting warm and at borderline triggering temperatures, like that can cause some really nasty issues. So how does this get mounted? This has some fancy screws to it, right? Oh, I'm just noticing this is like completely wrong. This spacing is totally off. Wow, that is so hard to see. So somebody gave me like dimensions for this last time. It's just like, hey, yeah, just measure towards the outside. Maybe if I get some light on this. That's not any better. Man, building black printers is like so hard to capture. So there's the profile, and the screw opening for this is like offset by 5 millimeters or so. So this, can we shimmy this over? Don't think so. So we're gonna have to open this up again. Wow. I was lied to. I was lied to, and this that fits into the tool head perfectly. I was lied to. So maybe we can at least push these together just a bit. Don't have to do much. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Okay. Somebody also said, hey, just align it with the bed. And I think that would have been a good call. Also, I believe we do only need 3 of these holes to line up. There's an extra hole. Well, there are 4 mounting holes, and we only need 3. So this can be slightly rotated into place if we need to. Though that should not be, the preferred choice. I could also just grab some clamps or something, but nah, we're just going Hulk mode. Alright, and that is actually close enough that I could install maybe all 4? Yeah, close enough. Alright, I actually need to check the manual for that, because there is an installation procedure for the bed, which was like, why can I not grab the scroll bar? Let me just use the mouse then. Hello? There we go. Heated bed, so it's M3 by 16, and then the M4 knurled. Wait, what? Oh yeah, I don't think I'm going to be installing the ZN stuff right now. I'm just going to be using the sensor, but the You just using the nerd nut as a spacer? Is that it? Like that's all this is, right? Huh. And why is he keep hiding that? Okay, so we're just using that as a spacer. And we're gonna need those screws. Well, actually, are the ones that are included? Are those stainless? If I can even find them, yeah. These do look like they're stainless, so at least they're gonna be some form of an insulator. But I will switch the screws to stainless screws. You may need to drill through the bed spaces. What? M3 should fit through M4. M3 by 16. Thankfully, I do have some stainless hardware. Yeah, as you can see, it's non-magnetic. Haha. Oh, but those are slightly magnetic. Interesting. So what about how... Okay, so this is not very magnetic. But you can kind of see like that's barely sticking on, and then the spaces, these are sticking on. People have gotten fancy with things like phenolic fiberglass titanium spaces, but it's not much in difference. So yeah, what's going to be happening is because the bed is focus is having a real hard time here. Because the bed is, at least it's not sitting directly on the aluminum extrusions, but with the spacers, I guess like that, there is going to be some heat that will be transferred into these aluminum profiles. So my thinking is at least use some stainless steel screws to kind of reduce the amount of heat getting transferred, because stainless steel does transfer less heat than regular steel, mild steel, or the whatever steel the black phosphate coated screws are. But yeah, I guess the majority of the heat is going to be transferred through these thumb nuts. So I guess thumb nuts it is. And we do need some of the regular M3 nuts. Thank you everyone for the birthday wishes. I'm seeing Spike, I'm seeing Francisco, I'm seeing a lot of other folks here as well. Thank you for that. I'm not sure if I want to be reminded about the fact that I'm getting old now, or whether I should celebrate. I guess the default option is to celebrate, and I think that's a good one in either way. Think positive, right? Sedif is asking, are those magnetic sheets even, because this is a sticker on top of the aluminum, are those even rated for more than 100 degrees Celsius? And I don't know, but I would say they're at least rated for, well, for something. I honestly have no idea. What I'm told is they can lose their magnetism if you use them constantly at a temperature that is too high. But yeah, we'll just have to find out. With that, is so dark down there. With this bed though, what I can do if this doesn't work out, if this magnetic sticker sheet doesn't work out, I can always drill in from the bottom and insert some magnets. So that is always a backup option should we need to go down that route. And yes, you can get the you can there, tripod stop, thank you. You can get regular magnets with a higher temperature rating than the 100 degrees Celsius. Though not by much. Like they're not... Where did I put my screws? There you go. They're not going to be that much better, but they're at least going to be a bit more resistant against those high temperatures for a while. Hex key. There you are. So there is one, and then another one back here. Yeah. Yes! Ha! Focused. Okay, so those are at least caught in the T-nut. Now I will need to adjust these somehow, and the bed has slots where the screw can slide out. That's one that's already attached. Just need to get the one back here working and attached. So I guess for positioning, this should be roughly centered. Man, I love having just a screw assortment. Everything at hand. If you need an M3x16 in stainless steel, just grab one. So good. No, actually, I don't think this should be centered. I think this needs to be, so front is this side right now. I think this needs to be a bit further forward because the tool head is, at most, reaches to about here. So this needs to go way forward. Your Z chain should allow your cables to go directly by the hole, by the what? Oh, that. Yeah, no, that's intentional. That only works for the 250, as I was informed. So the fact that I need to route my Z drag chain cables around here, that works for the 250, but this is a 300mm size, which means typically this would be, yeah, for 250. For 250, this part would be 50mm, 50, 25, further over here. What I chose to do is to move this further in the direction where it's going to pre-tension this chain instead of having it like dangling around and all floppy like that. This gets pushed over this way and is nice and straight and curved. So, yeah. So, put the nozzle switch, so the tool length probe. Move the tool head to the back, position it under the nozzle, screw it down, and then shift the bed back until there is an air gap. That sounds too complicated for me. The thing is, I believe this bed is too large in either case. So this bed is like 305, so we do have... That's actually sticking out really well. We should have a bit of leeway. That's how it needs to be done. Put the nozzle probe on, move the tool head to the back, position it under the nozzle, screw it down, and shift the bed back until there is an air gap. Too complicated. I'm just gonna go. So what I'm looking at right now is the belts right here. These are the back side of the belt are lining up with the nozzle. So I'm gonna line up the front edge of the bed with the rear edge of the belts, if that makes any sense. So like if I show you from that side, we have the belts. There you go. We have these Z belts. These up here, which you cannot see, these line up with the nozzle. So this front edge of the belt is exactly where the nozzle is at. And I'm just going to line up the front edge of the bed with So the x-axis, the y-axis is all the way forward now. So I'm just going to line this up like so, and I'm going to call that good. I'm going to call that good enough. Nero, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be using the nozzle switch for now. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that, how to set that up in Do It first in RepRap firmware. I believe it is possible. But I think for now it's going to be easier to just stick with probe only. So again, I don't know how reliable that probe is, but for now, just to make it easier on me, this, as you guys might have figured out, this is not a 100% to completion build for the Voron. This is I'm trying to get this printing, and then we can figure out all the finer details afterwards. For example, one of the finer details that Do It can do is it can do like individual Z motor leveling, because each of the Z-axis motors are independently driven by the Do It, in this case, or by the SKR or Spider or Octopus boards if you use one of those. RepRap firmware can do a bed leveling by actually physically leveling and tramming, by tramming the gantry, your XY gantry to the bed, which I think is really cool. So you wouldn't need to do like real-time Z-axis movements while the printer is doing its thing. You would actually have a physically trammed printer. So that's something that can be done, but I'm not setting that up now. I think for now, I'm not even going to set up any mesh bed leveling compensation. I'm just going to do single probe in the center, and that's going to be it. Clipper can do that also. I figured as much. Okay, so bed is mounted. Bed is mounted. Now bed wiring in the bottom compartment. Yeah. Which way do you flip this over without ruining stuff? I guess that works. Yeah, that makes it easier for me to work on it as well. So we have our bed wiring coming in from here. So we flipped the printer by 180 degrees compared to last time. So these, I will actually need to crimp a what are they called? What are these standard, the fan connectors, the PC fan style connectors? What are those called? The JST something. Actually, I could put a sleeve over these. Yeah. So that's Thermistor. Let's do the heater first. Actually, these are going to be pretty much the same length. One here, one there. Yeah, that's going to work. And then that's going to get a crimp, and this is not going to get anything. That's just going to get stripped. Yes, Nero, I realized the... Actually, you know what? I could use the Z switch. I could use the Z-axis switch to do just Z homing. If I'm not going to use mesh bed leveling at all, I could do that, and that would give me a reliable home position. But well. Yeah, with this fiberglass sleeved wiring that the heated beds come with, a regular wire stripper like this one or any other wire stripper cannot cut through the outer fiberglass sheet. So what I like to do is just lightly go around this, and actually this side needs a bit more. Lightly go around this with a knife Just twist it in here, and that cuts through all the fibers and the inner silicone sheath, and that gives me a perfectly stripped wire end without having all those fibers sticking out into my connection area. So this side goes in here for the neutral. XH, possibly, or Molex, yeah. So Do It 3 uses the JST VH, I believe they're called, for the high current stuff. So for heaters, just making sure these are tight because they might not be the same cross section. Yeah. For heaters, so for the hot end heaters, they use the VH as well as for motors, and those are just physically chunkier connectors with a larger pitch as well. But I'm looking for like these standard small ones. XH, yeah, XH is the connector on the stepper motor. That's not the one. This is the one with the little tab on it. Heater on 240, yes. Time to crimp those leads. Yeah, so I'm crimping another one of those circular connectors on these. This guy.
Happy birthday, Tom. Hope it's been a good one.
Because that is going onto these. Those mains connectors scream for some Vagos. I do have my Vagos. Yeah, I do have a full box of Vagos back here. So 3 pins and 5 pins, but I don't see how that would make anything better. Because we're still going to be needing to clamp into the power supply and into here. So like, there's no point in splitting this up anymore. The Vagos only do splitting. So like, yeah. And thank you for the tip, Eddie. Eddie the engineer. Happy birthday. Well, the thing for me is like birthdays, they're just regular days, right? I get some cake. Cake's cool. Couple friends come over when it's not a pandemic. And otherwise, like everything's back to normal. I hang out with you guys on a live stream. I do some work. Maybe answer some emails, which is something I rarely do. And yeah, it's just same old, same old. Especially now that there's not really an alternative to doing same old. Yeah, but thanks for the tip. And I mean, I do consider that a good birthday in either case. KK, yeah, that's the one that I mean. So one side, it's just Susan. Just double check. What have we got? So we have mains hot coming in. Well, live, I guess. Live coming in. Live goes to the SSR. Live gets blocked by the SSR. Goes to the bed. Bed comes back and goes directly to neutral. That's good. You've got the thermofuse in series with the bed. That's good. So, yep. Yeah, there was a who was posting that on Twitter. There was a one guy doing like excessive cable management with like the cable sorters and all wide sleeved wiring and all. No tuck testing. Oh yeah, that's in there. Wide sleeved wiring and all that, like you would see in a how do I call these without offending anyone? In a obsessive PC build, I think that is accurate enough. We have like all the neatly routed cables. So the way I see that is I respect anyone who gets obsessive over, well, at least that sounds wrong. No, anyone who really cares about stuff and makes that their main objective to do X perfectly. Like, I respect that. I don't see the point in a lot of those things, like excessive wire management, like especially in a PC. I don't even have windowed PC cases because I'm just like, well, hardware goes in there, hardware does its job. Like, I don't need to look at it. I'm not the kind of guy who would do that. For me, it's like, well, that could use a bit of extra insulation, but like, that's fine for the most part. If you want to do that, that's fine. That's fine, but don't expect me to do that as well. I'm gonna get it functional, and yes, I will spend some time afterwards to get this all cleaned up and neat and all that, but especially not today, especially not on live stream, and not as my first priority. My first priority is getting this printer working. That went somewhere. My first priority is getting this printer working and functional and, well, bug-free for the most part. And then we can look into wire management when we have that figured out. But priorities need to be sorted in that case, I think. If you know that your printer is fine and you've built that well, then you can do cable management to that level. But yeah, here it's just going to be a couple of zip ties. And yes, I do have these zip tie glue sockets or tape sockets that have like double-sided adhesive on the bottom, and then you can stick a zip tie through that side. We're going to use those in the bottom compartment, and that should clean things up. Wires are going to impact airflow. No, actually, I think LTT have done a video about that, where they found out, well, bad wire management, at least unless it's like IDE cables going straight across your fans, bad wire management makes like zero measurable difference in how good your airflow is. Okay, right. Thermistor. So I do need to crimp one more connector on here for the thermistor. You go there. And then we can plug everything in, and I'm gonna need to make a list where everything goes, because the duets don't have like dedicated inputs for, okay, this is thermistor for the bed, this is thermistor for the heater, this is the heater output. No, it just has an output that's labeled like high power output 1. And then IOs are like 7, 8, 9 generic programmable IO, so you can use those for everything. You just assign it later in the config. There we go. What are you? So that is the connector baggie, I think, that was included with Do It, and it's literally, it might be from somewhere else. So, but that is the one that I need for the thermistors, I believe. Yep. So no idea what these are. KK maybe. And then we also need some crimp pins for that. And that is all microfit. Yes, maybe check the Do It box for that. That looks... Is that the right one? I believe that might be the correct type. So I don't know which other... Oh yeah, there's the bag for the... Those look different. So I believe this is the correct crimp connector. These guys. Let me just give one of these a quick test fit. I'll close this up. And close that up. And then just jam it into, whoops, that broke. Just jam it into one of these connectors and see if that is the correct one. So there is that, that goes in here like so. Yep. That is the correct connector for that. Cool. You go here, so we need 2 of you. That was 3. Maybe we're gonna need 3, I don't know. So we need a, that's a good suggestion, Furiko. Need a second camera position with a cute doggo in the corner. That would be something. Though my cute doggo mostly is just chilling out, so she'd just be in bed and not doing much. So the way I like to do these is get the crimp connector held in place in the pliers. So get them right side up. And then from my left hand feed in the wire until the insulation sleeve is in the right spot, and then crimp down the electrical bit. Watch me completely mess this up, possibly. Okay. And then the one size up, the 1.6 in this case for the insulation. There you go. Oh, speaking of dogs, I can hear the dogs howling. I guess the phone's ringing. Can you guys hear that? No, it's probably taken up by the noise cancelling. Might need to use the 1.6 actually for these all the way. Yeah, that is definitely overcrimped. Wow. I just crimped a couple of these a minute ago and it was fine. See guys, that's why I'm saying like wiring streams probably not massively enjoyable. Because first of all, you guys aren't seeing much. And second of all, it's stressing me out having to do these under pressure live on camera. And that typically means that these crimps are not going to come out right. So that's stressing me out even more. Okay, that's good. Using the 1.6, that actually made a good crimp. Let's get the insulator side closed off a bit. Okay, that's a good crimp. That is a good crimp. Yeah. Like I said, we're gonna need 3 of these. Yeah, the thing with crimping is like it's fun to watch 1 or 2 or 3, but after that it's like, well, we've seen the process, or we've not seen the process to be accurate because you can't really see much of what I'm doing here because it's all so small. We've seen the process. Cool. Goodbye, next video. That is tight. It's on there. And let's get the insulation. Well, let's close this off first. There. Grab the insulation. That's good. No pressure, Tom. Yeah, well, you would like to see me take my time, but most of the people probably won't. That's when you pull a cooking show trick and pull a full set of crimp cables out of the oven. Well, oh, there they are. I had someone else crimp them. Yeah, that's convenient. Yeah, I guess the same reason on cooking shows, because watching stuff cook in an oven is just not very watchable. That's in there. So that is Thermistor bed. Cool. Good crimp, good connector. That's what we like to see. Yeah, I haven't built a printer where there was no crimping involved. I think there. Oh yeah, I did build printers where there was no crimping involved. I would solder onto female pin headers, which was not. I mean, it worked. It wasn't very pretty. So we need to make a list. We're gonna need to check it twice. We're gonna make that all nice. So piece of paper, printed forward packing list, that works, and a pen. No pens. Actually, whiteboard marker, that works.
Happy birthday, Altus House.
I'm always surprised by how well the text-to-speech comes out for non-English language. Yes, thank you for the 5. Pug of Stardog. Stardog. Is that a TV show? No, that's Stargate. Okay. Thank you for that. Right. Yes. Of course, Sean. Prushas have their wires already connected. Yes, I was talking about like a DIY build. What is going on about? Yeah, Alistair, I'm using the Do It 3 plus the Do It 3, the 6HC mainboard plus the 3HC expansion board because I need all the outputs. Okay. So let's figure this out. So we have 6 stepper outputs on the main board and another 3 on the 3HC over here. I'm thinking I'm going to do Z first. So the Z, they have numbering in the official manual for the Voron build. Z first, then XY on 5 they start at 0, yeah, on 4 and 5, and then use the expansion board for E and then for my extra add-ons that this printer is going to get. So I have those reserved for the expansion stuff. So just trying to keep note here. So what are these labeled? These are labeled also 0 and 1. So we have Z. Let's double check what the numbering is for these motors to stay consistent. There is a wiring section, I believe, somewhere. Here we go. So the front left is 0. And then we do clockwise. So we have front left. That's X, Y, so that's Y. You always have to make sure whether this is a bed slinger, because then the bed moving forward is Y plus. So that is the 0, 1, 2, and 3. And those are getting connected to, I'm going to call this 6, the big one. So this is 6. Oh, hold on, we're starting here. 6, 0, 6, 1, 6, 2, and 6, 3. And then we have the X and the Y and the E. X, Y, E gets connected to 6, 4 and 6, 5, and then E gets connected to 3, 0. So let's try and replicate that. So thankfully these are all, well, scratch that, because it's not X and Y. It's A and B. And I was saying, thankfully, these all have labels on them. So this is labeled E0. Why would you need more? Well, E0. So this is going on driver 0 on the 3HC. Then I'm just going to get the motors first because that's what we're starting with. That makes a lot of sense, obviously. If we're starting with it, then that's what I'm going to do first. Driver 2, that's driver 5 back here. So that is the B motor. Then the A motor. A motor goes up here onto driver 4. Repro config file calls A, B, X, and Y. Yeah, well, we're gonna figure out like which ones are moving the right or the wrong direction pretty soon once everything is booted up. So I am looking at the, hold on, this is front left. That's 0, that's 1. So you're 0 and you are going to, how are we routing this? I guess like that. Then I'm going to have like a sticker pad up here that can take up some of the slack. Z0, front left, rear left, U. Z1, and yeah, you might be wondering why that connector looks so weird. I did put some hot melt glue into these connectors in the back because I'm not quite confident about my crimping quality on these VH connectors. So I would rather have a bit of extra strain relief there than, you know, risk these falling out or... Oh, actually, that's a problem. Talking of strain relief and stuff falling out, that is the stock VH from the Lineo wiring loom broken. That is not great. I'm not sure if I broke that or if that is just an overcrimped situation. That is something we're going to have to fix. Let me get these plugged in first. So what are we doing? This is the rear, the rear Z2, so that goes into 2. And then this guy goes into U. What wire gauge is that? Pretty thin, but I wouldn't worry about the motor connectors too much. Oh, we're gonna need to recrimp that. Just give the other ones a quick tug. Make sure none of these. So these are all the ones that I crimped, all the Z connectors. However, the extruder, which is on the bottom here, and these are crimped by Lineo. That's good. That's good. That's good. That is good. That is good. That's also good. And that's also good. So it's just this one connector. Can I undo these? So can I pull out the... Yes. Yes, thankfully these have the large tabs on the bottom. So that connector is... Or that crimp is gone, so I can just ruin the spring here, the retention spring, and pull it out like that. So unfortunately, I do not enjoy crimping these. Oh yeah, if any of you want to get a close look at the crimp, there is that crimp. And if you want to see it from the back, there's that. It looks like, sorry, it looks like it is pretty tightly crimped. So how did I crimp these? First, the label is going to need to come off. I don't have enough space. to work on this cabling if the label is in the way. So this is like a shrink wrap printed label, which is a cool way to assemble these, because it is permanent. What I always used to do is use the label maker, which is behind me there, and just, you know, add one of those loops to it. So actually, let's go down here for crimping. Solder onto it. That's a last resort option if we need to. How did that strip so much? That's a last resort option that I'm hoping I'm not going to have to take. That's stripped. I need the VH crimps. There's the VH crimps. Here's one of the bags of the VH crimps. So these are pretty chunky. Let me see, how did I crimp these? I think I used the Engineer PA09, I believe, is the smaller of the Engineer crimping pliers. I think I used, you said 2 and put it into the third port. Yeah, Philip Teeler, thank you for the tip and thank you for the hint. The motor...
Please check motors 2 and 3 again. You said 2 and put it into the third port.
Yeah, the motor labeling is starting count at 0 to... I thought. Hold on. Oh no, I do have these mixed up. Ha! I do have these mixed up. You are correct. So this right here, this should be this one and that one. It's mixed up. Ha! So this is rear right, and that goes into 2. Thank you for that, Philip. Back to crimping. So what I think I did is I used the largest 1.9 for the wire crimp. Crimp that down. That does crimp. That does make an electrically good crimp. And I think I used these on the largest insert with sort of this one pre-bent. The largest insert to crimp insulation. And that, if you don't get caught, that I think does make a good crimp, even though the insulation crimp is pretty loose. So that is the, oh god, that's the insulation crimp back there. That's pretty open, but the electrical crimp is good. So some hot glue in here is going to be needed for sure. Where's my hot glue gun? There it is. I'm going to try and get this heated up while I get that crimp done. And I will also fill the other connectors with hot glue on the boards, just to make sure, because, you know, don't want to have any surprises. So you go in here. You're held in place right there. Then we need our cable. Where did that go? There. Are you stripped an appropriate amount? Yeah, looks like it. Actually, this one I want to hold the other way around. So you go in here just enough to get the insulation in there. Ah, perfect. That is a good crimp. And then we're going to pre-close you up and then get you in here like so. hopefully that is at least going to crimp down onto the insulation a bit. Nope. But then again, I don't, that has twisted the entire connector. I don't need to like over crimp these. I can get these like slightly adjusted and slightly crimped down, but yeah, as long as the electrical section is crimped down, that's all I care about for now. No, they're all here. So you can just slide in here theoretically. With the right side up. And with this guy just slightly compressed some more. Click! I don't know if you guys heard that, but that is in, and that is electrically connected and all that. So, phew. Okay, so hot glue, at least somewhat warm. However, I will only apply this once it is seated in the connector because I don't want to hinder, I don't want to force the crimp connectors, or the pins in here, into a position where they wouldn't make good contact anymore. So I'm going to plug this in, which means now it's all in the correct position. And I'm just going to give this a little dab of hot glue in here. Not too much. I don't want to squeeze it all the way into the electrical connection, but just back here, just to hold everything in place and to make sure it's not getting tugged on as much anymore and, you know, stays where it's supposed to be. There, and on the extruder connector as well down here. That maybe was a bit too much. But hey, there you go. Rowie makes a glue gun that uses the standard Rowie batteries. Well, the thing is, glue guns, I'm okay with just the standard type, but these could heat up a lot quicker. That is my main issue with hot glue. Hot glue is, like a lot of you have already said, hot glue is super useful. In so many applications, you just need to know what the limits of hot glue are. You shouldn't expect epoxy performance out of a hot glue gun when you are using a hot glue gun. Hot glue for me is like holding stuff in place, stuff that is not mechanically strained a lot. Temporary fixings, because typically you can peel hot glue off pretty well off of most surfaces. And for that it's perfect. For that, it is extremely well suited because it's a hot glue does something that almost no other adhesive, if you even want to call it an adhesive, can do, and that is to build up material, to give you a plastic aspect to that, to your connection or to your glue joint. Typically, if you have a super glue or an epoxy even that is liquid for a while, you will want to get that to. You will want to have a small gap for the most part. For hot glue, you can build up and you can actually have the hot glue itself be a plastic component. So, yep. That's that. So we have the motors connected. And the motor should be in good shape. Yeah, and again, hot glue, not something I would assign any sort of like mechanical load to it, even though, yeah, we're kind of using it for holding these in mechanically, but I wouldn't trust it to hold any sort of force. This is just to like secure stuff and hold it in place. Yeah, for the form fit, not the adhesion. That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Genau, fits inside. So that's the wiring here, that's the wiring there, B and A, but of course that is already in the wiring loom. Wiring end stops. So end stops are going into missed. going into the IOs. Random Nerd, you have hot glued an extruder once? Well, so have I. Oh, actually, hold on. That's something I can show you guys. That I should be able to find fairly quickly here in Google Photos. Yes. My first 3D printer. That is what the extruder on my... Why is that so bright? That is what the extruder on my first 3D printer looked like. Is that better? No, it's probably too dark. No, that's good. Yeah. Probably put you in flight mode again. So there is my first extruder. That's a salesman underneath all that. And that is a lot of hot glue. So the thing with that is all the parts on that printer were printed with the oh god, what's it called? The gypsum plus binder process from C something, and the parts in the sales metal needed to flex. So yeah, that didn't work out. So yeah, hot glue. In that case, we were building that at university. In that case, very useful. At least until we reprinted all the parts in ABS. So yeah, Z Corp. Yes, thank you. That's exactly what that printer was. That's that. Right, so if you're wondering why live chat is not working on the recording, it's because I edited out that number. When I blur that live chat, that gets disabled, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna trust you guys. I'm not gonna like get any mischief on with that. Mischief on with that number. If you manage to catch it. Actually, hold on. Let me do a quick mod to this stream so we can have. Can I adjust that? Can I not adjust the live DVR setting while the stream is going? Need to do that. YouTube live streaming is such a mess. There's like 5 different settings pages. Oh, now I'm hearing myself. That's cool. Nope. Apparently I cannot edit that. Cool. Oh well. Anyways, end stops. So the end stops are wired up in an interesting way on the Do It. So this is X and Y, and these are the only 2 that we're going to be connecting for now. X and Y, yeah, are in a 5-pin. Where's my OBS? There's my OBS. X and Y are in a 5-pin connector, and these are basically just universal I/O connectors on the Do It. So that's this setup here, all these connectors up here. And these have an input and output, 5V, 3.3, like I said earlier. And I think I've managed to grab the correct pins, which is ground, because I wired up the X and Y wrong, as normally open. Ground and the input. So I'm thinking I can enable the pull up on the input. And then that's going to get pulled to ground. That is basically the idea. Nobody else using motor feedback for end stops other than Prusa? Well, Do It supports it. Do It does support X, Y, well, maybe for Z as well. But Do It does support sensorless homing, as it's called. But I don't know if they're supporting it for Core XY, because kinematics might be weird in that regard. The feet are livable. They are not, but they are fairly flexible. So we are going into IO something. Let me pull up the wiring diagram because that's going to be... So we don't need you in tablet mode anymore. Hello? Oh. So let's do it. Do it 3 wiring diagram. That has everything labeled which IO is which. So this one. So that down there, that is a whole bunch of IOs. And I would say we start. So 0 is the one that is kind of reserved for the panel DUE, I believe. So we're going to start at 1 and 2 for one of the end stops. I would need to take stuff apart again, but we can just check which end stop gets triggered for which axis. So we're going to do end something and end something, and we can change that later on to IO. So 6 IO1 and 6 IO2. Let's connect that up. There's our end stops, and then 1 and 2 are the one at the edge of the board. So these two. 1 and 2. Yep. The labels match up. 1 and 2. And then you, I think I'm going to have to zip tie up here somewhere because that's putting a bit of strain on those connectors. What am I missing in chat? Not much. So next up we have the probe. So Z probe. Z probe is going to go into 6 IO3. So we have basically X, Y, Z. So Z probe. That is just this single one. I'm hoping that's going to work out. So 3 is up here, next row over this one. That is 3, and then power for the probe comes off of... Come on, okay, nope. Power for the probe comes off of these, and these have a selectable voltage. Right now they are at... It's at 12 volt, which the DUE generates... Oh, why are we in Top Can? Power comes for the probe comes from the fan outputs, and you can select between 12 volts and V in, and V in would be 24. 12 should be enough, and I guess it puts a bit less load on whatever 30 volt tolerant input this has. DUE doesn't need the bat though. That is correct, Clubby. Yes, because these inputs are all 30 volt tolerant, so you could hook up 24 volts directly to this. The probe has a pull-up built in, and that should take care of that. Next, what else do we have? We have heaters. No, fans. 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 What are you? So these are the outputs that are intended for the fans, I guess. What are you being driven by? So we have, so that's these outputs over here. Output 4 is where we're grabbing the voltage from for the probe. Use 24 out control 2. So there's another switch. 12 volt is for small brushless fans only. Yeah, because 800 milliamps. The probe is not going to need anywhere close to that, hopefully. So basically, yeah, out control 7 is already jumpered to 24. Yep. So that's going to be my small brushed fan output. So that's the bigger fans on, or the small fans on 12 if you need 12, and then this is for the 24s. You have selectable voltage for this bank of fan outputs, and then a different selectable voltage for the other bank of fan outputs. So heater fan is going to go to out 7. Heater fan, and then P fan is what this is labeled. 6 out 7, and then this is 6 out 8. So that's the part cooling, the hot end fan. And then this is the part cooling fan. Yeah, and wire management is going to be something we're going to do later, right? If you why do it now if you can do it tomorrow? Because like right now this is a bit messy, but we can, once everything is plugged in, we can tuck stuff into place. Then T0, so that is the, which one did I connect? Because this thing has dual. Oh, I can just look it up. I can just check which one I connected, and it's the green one. No, it's not the green one. It is the green one. Yes, it is the green one. Green temperature. Green temperature goes into temp 0. Keep note. Hot thermistor is in 6 temp 0, and then 6 temp 1 is going to be bed temp. And that is the separate wire that we crimped that goes in here. And then we have 2 heaters left, basically, that's all. 2 more connectors for the hot end heaters, and those can just go to out 1. So I mean, I can run this with just 1 heater. I don't need to power both of them up from the firmware config, because this is basically, yeah, first of all, kind of redundant, kind of overkill, but there is a flow rate advantage supposedly to using 2 heaters. I guess mostly because it's not the power you need, but because it kind of more equally heats up the heater block, because it now has heat from both sides. So that is something that we can use. So that is out 1 and out 2. So that's 6 out 1 and 6 out 2 for the hot end, hot heat 1, hot heat 2. And then you're the redundant and unused so far thermistor, and we're just going to plug you in to make sure you're out of the way. And theoretically, if we need more. I was going to say, oh, we can plug this in now, and yes, we could plug this in now. Actually, we can just route it like that, and kind of smoosh it down. That should be fine, right? So we have everything connected up. We just need to wire up the SSR input and our SSR input and that includes all the 24 volt. And then this should be pretty much all hooked up. So Kyle is saying, and it's kind of Papa is saying probe works best at 24, so we can thankfully just change this one jumper, drop the one jumper, plug the one jumper back in. There we go. And now we have 24 volt powering the probe. There's that. Okay, so that's the wiring. We're going to need that for firmware config, which unfortunately, even though it's in the stream title, I don't think we're going to get to today. 24 volt wiring. There's a ring of wiring right there. Speaker wire. Nice clear speaker wire. This does have the red line on it. Why am I using this? Because it's nice and thick and it is actual copper. If you buy speaker wire on Amazon these days, you're probably going to get CCA, which is copper clad aluminum, which means it's an aluminum cable that is coated with a very thin layer of copper, and that is horrible to work with. It's garbage. Like, it's just the cheapest way to produce a wire. But this is actual copper, and it wasn't that expensive either. Is it oxygen free? I believe it is actually labeled as oxygen free, but like, screw that. That is just such... Oh yeah, it actually says OFC. Look at that. OFC speaker cable, which is the snake oil of... Yeah, there, OFC, right there, OFC speaker cable, and it is 1.5 square, which should be enough. Hook up the SSR to an I/O header. No need for 24 there. I mean, yeah. I guess we could hook up 24. We could hook up the SSR to an I/O header. We could also hook it up to a fan output, but that would mean I would have to crimp some wires, and I don't like crimping stuff. And with hooking it up to the bed output, which is like, yeah, it's switched with a big fat MOSFET, but hooking up to that output just allows me to use the screw clamps, and that's my preferred way of doing that. Yeah, does oxygen-free copper make a difference? No, it's just marketing mumbo jumbo. There has been some, I don't know how scientifically accurate they were, but there have been some trials, of having so-called audiophiles listen to a set of speakers. And they were told, okay, one of these is hooked up with like this nice high-quality gold-plated oxygen-free copper wire, and this one is hooked up with just standard whatever wire. But what they actually did was they hooked up one of them with wire coat hangers, or wire clothes hangers. You know, those American-style wire hangers, or wire, you know what I mean. Basically, cheap as steel, not even copper, and the other one with something that's more normal. And all the guys, when being told, oh, this is hooked up with a super high quality cable, even though it was that coat hanger wire, just were like, oh, this sounds so much better. This is so cool. And they would tell you they were hearing a difference, and probably their brain was telling them that there was a difference. They were perceiving a difference, but it was a what's it called? What's the effect that makes homeopathics work? It was basically your brain creating a real effect because it was expecting a real effect in placebo. Yeah, exactly. It was your brain telling you, or their brain telling them that there is a difference, even though, and they were in fact perceiving a difference, but there was none. There was no measurable difference. So yeah. Yeah, Domenico, that's out of the question that there is a real placebo effect that has genuine benefits, definitely. And like if you want to use oxygen-free, gold-plated, or silver wire, or whatever, because you get the perception that it makes stuff sound better, go for it. Like for you, it's going to make it sound better. But for somebody who doesn't believe in silver wires making a difference, or for someone who doesn't believe in homeopathics working, it's not going to work. It's not going to make a difference. So, yeah. 1.5 square. How much are we drawing? 3 amps at most. That's fine. Just double checking for myself here real quick. That's the side going into the board. Oh yeah, by the way, my XLR cables connecting the microphone, they are like silver plated, oxygen free. They're only the highest quality for you guys. Going into a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which has a decent ADC, but not the best one. Yeah, audiophile stuff is. I don't want to say like disappointing, because at this point it's not even unexpected. But yeah, most of it is a ripoff. Like, you know, it's straight up just no measurable difference, or in the cases where there is a measurable difference, it is so small that you're naturally never going to hear it. Now, not saying that good quality audio components aren't worth it. There is certainly a difference between a cheap Behringer component versus something from Sennheiser. But anything past that is absolutely not worth anything, to be honest. So, yeah. I think that might be slightly overcrimped, but better safe than sorry in this case. Yeah, I think LTT also did a video on that. As we've already mentioned LTT before in the stream, doing videos comparing stuff. Like the gold-plated, triple-shielded HDMI cables that someone like Monster Cable is selling, where it's like, well, there can't physically be a benefit to using this, because that's not how this works. Something like HDMI digital connections, or in this case, they either work or they don't. There is no in between. There is no, this looks better because I'm using a better quality cable. There is just a yes or no. Oh, that's the wrong direction. So, oh, did I crimp on the wrong size? That's gonna work. So yeah, for digital connections, HDMI can Ethernet. Well, Ethernet does have a works better mode when you're really stretching those distances. You do need a good quality cable, but for most stuff, unless it's analog, just get whatever cables don't catch fire. Yeah. Wait, they're really working for Sennheiser? Why didn't you tell me that earlier? Nope. Okay. Do a little loop-de-loop. Even though it's not needed. Why did I cut this so long? So let me see. out 0 output, out 0 input, and then oh, did I actually? Oh, I wired this up backwards. Yeah, I forgot the SSR does actually have an input polarity. I thought the input was wasn't mattering anyways. So basically, we're doing this backwards here as well. Come on. So you go there. Oh, don't you just love Phillips screws? Phillips head screws. Maybe I should have installed this 90 degrees with a 90-degree turn, so we're not doing this like jammed up cable here. Could have done like super short bits, and I might shorten this later. There we go. But for now, I just wanted to leave it a bit longer. Right. Yeah, as far as the gold PCB goes, I'll just give it a try. It might blow up at some point. I'm gonna have to replace it probably, but yeah, wouldn't be my first choice for most stuff. But then again, if you buy a so-called Omron on AliExpress, you're probably not getting one. Come on. How does a DC motor spin the same way no matter what polarity voltage you put to it? It doesn't. So is the plan to get it finished off today? George Elliott is asking. No, I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna be able to manage that. There's still firmware config. But I do want to get to the point where I can do firmware config on this one. Yeah, the thing with these wire strippers is when you already have a bit stripped off, it is pretty hard to strip a bit more off of it. Because these do need to latch onto both ends with those claws to actually get a good grip. And if they don't get that good grip, then, well, that's the problem. So you, and then you go back there. Okay. I'm just going to try to get these all stripped. These are all just going to get bare ends. No ferrules or anything. Not really needed. I mean, they wouldn't hurt, but they're not really needed for this application. All the clamps are good for going directly into bare copper, at least when it's, you know, not splitting up and stuff. When the solid state really heats up, the heatsink detaches from it. Ooh, that's bad. I mean, there is a thermal fuse, but that thermal fuse is not attached to the SSR. That thermal fuse is attached to the heated bed. So that would prevent a what's it called, failed closed or fail on state. So at least there would be no more current running through the bed that would eventually, you know, get the bed way too hot. But there is no thermal fuse for the SSR itself. Yeah, I mean, you could put the thermal fuse on the SSR. That might not be a bad call. I think those are pretty cheap. Yeah, I guess it couldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to add it just to the SSR, just to be safe. Yeah. Put a fuse on the SSR itself. Maybe not 125 degrees though. I mean, when it's at 125, that would be a bit past what you'd call safe. So that's that. One more. Just call attach a thermal fuse to everything and call it a day. Yeah, that's possibly a solution to some things. I'm sure there's some tool to twist these wire ends. I think I've even seen those. Because if you do that a lot, your fingertips are gonna start getting worn off. Just me, audio broken? No, audio still seems fine here. So for these, we actually do need to worry about polarity now. Isn't it common to not twist the wires? Well, I do like them twisted because that means they go into these blocks a bit nicer without individual wires splitting off. So one in here, plus, minus. So basically we're using all three pairs of outputs on these. Then you go up into the first input. That ain't pretty. Smooth it. Let's retwist you. Yeah, that mount could definitely be a bit more solid, but it's gonna do once everything is mounted up. So this doesn't need to be that thick of a wiring solution here because this is literally just the SSR getting its power, or the SSR control getting its power. But the next one is all these stepper drivers plus the hot end. So that is going to be something that will carry some power. However, at 24 volts, it's fine. It's not really that critical. Powering 12 volt heated beds, that's where stuff gets toasty, but the solution, it's actually not that much of a problem anymore. So in plus, what's the red wires cross section? So those from the wiring loom? I don't know. But the cross section for the ones for the heaters are a bit thicker than the ones on the signal wires and stuff. So that's that. Just one more onto the 3HC expansion board. And then I guess for today we can just plug this thing in, see if we get any smoke, and then do firmware on Sunday. Firmware and like slicer setup and tuning, because wiring always, I did not expect this to take so long, but yeah, this did take a lot longer than I was expecting. Yeah, that didn't make any sense, but yeah, wiring does always take much longer than what you're hoping for, especially when there's like little issues of, oh, my crimps don't work, or well, this crimp fell out. Then yeah, that does start to become a bit of a tricky one. So there we go. There's the wiring done. It's not neat or anything, but it should be fairly easy to clean up. couple zip tie spots there, and then.
What is your thinking about the Formbot kit? I am about to start building my own Voron 2.4 and can't decide between kit with some extra parts or sourcing.
That should be fairly easy to clean up. Thank you for the 10, Christoph. Question about the Formbot kit, whether I do recommend that. Obviously I did choose the Formbot kit for myself. Hide it on the panel done. Wow, Paul, that's rough. I was not expecting that answer from a member of the Voron team. But Christoph, of course, a lot of people are going to tell you to source yourself, and I guess that is the proper way to build a Voron. However, I would probably buy this kit again because it has components in it that are, for the most part, very usable. For the most part, like, there's nothing wrong with the parts. Some things of concern that I have not had a chance to check so far is how good is that SSR? Are the motors the ones that they say they are? So these are 17HS19-2004S1, which is the recommended motor for the Voron. However, I don't know that this is that exact type because it doesn't have a brand label or anything on it. The rails were the wrong size, the den rails were the wrong size, and I did have to use different screws. But other than that, I think it's been really good. There's been nothing wrong with it. And of course, it's like, yeah, as Nero is saying, well, that you might be getting different parts for, if you buy this kit at a different time, they may start substituting parts, as they have done in the past, and they are actually now shipping better parts apparently. But it's fine for you're probably going to be spending like 2 days sourcing all these parts yourself, and you will be spending a bit more. You might still want to replace a couple parts. Like I said, the SSR probably can go straight in the garbage. The hot end, I don't know. That's the hot end that's included is a V6 clone that actually looks pretty good, but I've not used it yet. It might be unusable. Otherwise, it's fine, really. It's not fantastic, but it's fine, and it has all the parts that you need for the build. Also, I would throw out the screws. Like, this is just so nasty to build with. Spend the $50 and get like the proper screws in stainless or galvanized, and that would be that. I'm nervous to plug this thing in now. Okay, Sanity. I got weird name. Spent all the time since May to get this to get all the parts. Well, I was saying like 2 full working days of sourcing stuff, but yeah, shipping times and getting everything sorted out, that will take a lot longer. And these kits are shipped with DHL Express, and I think it arrived really fast, but the longer part was imports and customs. So this sat in customs, I think, for well over a week. And yeah, I did have to pay a significant amount of taxes on this import, which is fine. I mean, you pay taxes on stuff you buy locally as well. So yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a bit cheaper probably than sourcing everything yourself, but you get decent parts instead of getting like the level of quality parts you want. Let me plug this in. So there's no switch on here. Oh yeah, I do have a switch on the extension cord. Is there? Let me double check polarity just to make sure. That's fine. That's positive. That's positive. I don't want to blow. Though I think, yeah, there's a fuse. There should be some reverse polarity protection. Positive, positive. Ground V in. That should be good. There should be some blinking lights on the Do It. I do have the SD card in place. Cover all your mains connectors. Well, that's there. That's there. Yeah, that's going to need some tape. So don't touch these once it's plugged in. you're off. I'll plug you in with the power off. And then I've got the switch on my toe. 3, 2, 1. Hey! No smoke. So I see a red light in the probe. Let me just see if that works. Okay, so the probe has a red LED in it that gets dimmer when I trigger it. Oh, these LEDs on the Do It are bright. Like those are some seriously bright blue LEDs. You're gonna be able to see those through the enclosure. But I don't know what blinking red on status means. Diagnostics is red. All the LEDs are lit up. That's all the voltages. That's fine. Status blinking red. That's something. That is some status. But yeah, otherwise, looks fine. Oh, you can see the probe in the back there. Can you see the LED on the probe as well? No, not quite. Not quite. LEDs in the back. Whew! Do It has the SD card in it? Yep. Supposedly that has the files for the Do It on it, but I'm gonna have to double check that. So I'm gonna turn this off again before I reach into the high voltage side. Check the bed heater, make sure that's not on. So you are, yeah, bed heater is completely cold. Yeah, so that is looking promising. That is looking very promising. The boards are lighting up. There's no smoke. Again, I don't know if this board is actually firing up, but that's looking good. And that's it for this one. We have everything wired up, even though, yeah, title says firmware. Sorry, we didn't get to do firmware today, but we've already been streaming for nearly 3 hours. But SSR cover, yeah, that's a good idea. Been streaming for nearly 3 hours, and that's my maximum. I've reached my limit. All right, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for wishing me a happy birthday. Appreciate that. And I will see you all again on Sunday, where hopefully we get this thing moving. Yeah, we're definitely going to get this moving on Sunday. And yeah, I hope we're going to figure out firmware and get everything working as intended. See you all. Have a great weekend. Until then, bye, and keep on making. I keep forgetting that tagline. Bye.